All right, tract 11 at Chalk Bluff. Not only is this a large property, not only does this lay really nicely, not only does this, there's the gravel road, by the way. We're looking west, so the land is on the right. Not only does this have a gravel creek bed that crosses directly over it, but the entire east side borders the Rocky Creek Conservation Area. So you have direct physical access to a couple thousand acres of land for additional hunting and trail riding and recreation, public land with that Rocky Creek Conservation Area. So really, really a good situation here. This may be the largest tract of Chalk Bluff that borders the conservation area. In the first place, there are only a handful of tracts that have actual frontage on the Rocky Creek Conservation Area out here. And like I say, this is one of them. And also this has the gravel creek bed, and like I said, is one of the larger tracts, and also it happens to lay really, really nicely. Basically level by the county road, slopes down, but slopes down gently as you go northeasterly. Has another large level area in the middle, which maybe was an old building site. We're not sure about that. And then as you keep going northeasterly toward the creek bed, of course, it slopes down. But then stays fairly level as you go into the conservation land. So I don't know how much of that we'll get to see with this drone video, because it looks like we're going to go way, way up to view this property, and that's fine. That's a good way to see it. So the tracks out here at Chalk Bluff, they were all logged within the last few years, 2-3 years. Not clear cut. Some parts were logged fairly heavily, some were not. Most properties are a mix, and this one's kind of a mix. We've got some areas where a lot of the commercial timber was taken, and some where there really doesn't look like much was done at all. So interesting property here. We're going northeasterly, like I said. You can see how it's fairly level with a little bit of slope up and down to it. Off to the right, that's another property owner who has cleared a spot for his camper or his hunting camp or whatnot. So that's off to the right. You can't even see that from the property. But you can see a good mixture of timber. We've got some open areas, we've got some wooded areas. Just to the north a little bit, you've got what's known as the Pioneer Forest, which is land owned by a private conservation commission, so that'll keep that natural and looking really pretty. If we were to pan to the left, to the west, we're only about a mile and a half from the Jacks Fork River, which is an extremely popular river here in the Ozarks. The Ozark National Scenic Riverway runs with the Jacks Fork River. So, I mean, you've just got a whole lot of stuff going on out here. The wildlife is fantastic with deer and wild turkey. They're trying to build up an elk population here in the Ozarks, and they started the elk herd just a few miles from here. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. Come out and check out this property. I was hoping we'd get a look at that gravel creek bed, but I'm not sure if we will. We're kind of toward the northeast. Hey, that might be it. That might be it right there. I'm not sure. Toward the lower right section of the screen. Let's take a look at that. Hopefully we zoom down in. It's really hard to tell when you're doing these drone videos because you're actually looking at just a small screen on the controller. So oftentimes it's not until we do the actual voiceover that we can say, oh, look at that, look at that. Now we're looking basically southerly at the northeast portion of the property. On the left, we've got the Rocky Creek Conservation Area. So really tough to find properties that border conservation land or national forest. I mean, it's fantastic for a couple reasons, but my favorite is that you can set up your cabin or your campsite or whatnot on your own private property, and you can go directly into all that public land for hunting, for hiking, for recreation. If you've got a bunch of buddies coming out and you're going to do some hunting, you don't all have to hunt on your property. I mean, you've got a big property here with Tract 11, but you can have some guys kind of spread out into the conservation land, guys or girls, and hunt that as well. Also, just for the hiking, for the trail riding, it's pretty amazing to have that direct frontage on the conservation land. It makes everything so much more usable. So I was hoping we would hunt for that creek bed a little bit, because on a couple other nearby properties, that creek bed actually crosses 3 or 4 properties here at Chalk Bluff. And on the other drone videos, we were able to get right down on that creek bed and get a fairly good look at it, maybe from 100, 150 feet up. And it's pretty cool. I mean, any natural gravel creek bed is going to have some really interesting stuff. We've never seen one in the Ozarks that didn't have some cool stuff going on as far as either rock ledges or maybe a little spring. I mean, it's hard to say, but the topography on the northeast section of this property does lend itself to potentially having a spring. We haven't been out there to see it. You're certainly welcome to bring your four-wheeler or your side-by-side or just your hiking boots and go check it out. I mean, check out every square inch of the property. It'll take you a couple days because it's big, but you can certainly do that. Gorgeous area, so peaceful and private. The gravel road dead ends a mile or two excuse me, after the property, so you've got very little through traffic. Chalk Bluff itself, by the way, is gorgeous, and that's directly about a mile to the west. If you keep going on that gravel road, it's just utterly breathtaking. You can check out the pictures in the listing, but super cool area. Bring your chainsaw or your weed whacker and you can create a nice trail in just a couple hours to get you off the road. We've got some minor property covenants in place to keep the area looking good and to protect your investment, so you can see those on the website, on the listing page, or you can give us a call. But yeah, pretty nice property. Very hard to find anything bordering public land, especially a couple thousand acres like the Rocky Creek Conservation Area. So special property. If you've been looking for something like this that borders public land, you may want to think long and hard, but not too long and hard, because these go quickly and we seldom get anything that borders conservation land. So InstantAcres.com to see if this tract is still available. We would love to hear from you.